So, let's talk Borderlands 4. I'm about 20 hours in, and honestly, it's given me that very familiar Borderlands vibe, which, let's be real, is exactly what I was hoping for. If you're coming in expecting some sort of revolutionary twist that'll blow your mind, temper those expectations. But if you love the chaotic, loot-filled, laugh-out-loud insanity of previous Borderlands games, well, buckle up, because it's delivering. You get 4 Vault Hunters this time: Harlow the Gravatar, Vex the Siren, Amon the Four-Knight, and Rafa the Exo-Soldier. And each of them come with their own quirks and personalities, which, in true Borderlands fashion, makes choosing a character feel less of a tactical decision and more of, who do I want to watch explode things hilariously today? Going in, my expectations was pretty straightforward. I've been a fan of the series forever, completed Borderlands 1 and 3 and all the DLC, and even dove into Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Borderlands 2 unfortunately did slip through the cracks, though I hear it may just be the crown jewel of the series. What keeps me coming back? The gunplay, the comedy, and the characters. Even the grunt of NPCs manage to crack a joke here and there, which, if you're like me, you end up screenshotting because somehow they're funnier than half the dialogue in some big budget RPGs. What intrigued me about Borderlands 4 specifically? Honestly, everything. I've been counting down the days, marked it on my calendar, building up the excitement, and just hoped it wouldn't fizzle. One of my favourite things about Borderlands 3 was experimenting with character builds. My Fire Hose Moe's build was pure chaos against bosses, and I'm curious to see how far I can push the damage here, how different interactions might play out, and whether I can max out the insanity again. Oh, and I'm playing this on PC through Steam, which is exactly how I managed it. Smooth, quick load times, and with all the quality of life features that might make clicking through every single loot drop slightly less of a chore. For the first day I jumped in, I put in a solid stretch, and now, 20 hours later, I'm still pleasantly addicted, charting my way through the chaos. So yeah, Borderlands 4 didn't shock me. I didn't need to. It feels like home, just with a few new toys to play with. And honestly, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Borderlands 4 takes place on Kairos, 6 years after Ellipsis. Yes, the mysterious floating rock, which teleported itself into the planet's orbit. This wasn't just a minor oops moment. Ellipsis' arrival destroyed the planetary shield hiding Kairos from the rest of the universe, and predictably unleashed chaos, uprising, and general intergalactic anarchy. The planet is ruled by the somewhat terrifying Timekeeper, who, spoiler alert, is not exactly winning Manager of the Month award among his subjects. Opposing him are the Crimson Resistance and the Rippers. You pick one of 4 Vault Hunters, Harlow, Vex, Amon, and Rafa, and jump straight into the madness. Honestly, the story is engaging right from the start. I like to judge these sequels not just as continuations, but standalone stories that can hold their own if you haven't memorized each line from Borderlands 1 and 3. And so far, Borderlands 4 manages that. The plot flows well. There's a sense of intrigue around the Timekeeper that makes you want to keep peeling back the layers, unlike the Calypso twins from Borderlands 3, who, let's be honest, didn't really terrify anyone. I'm about 20 hours in and have faced off against the 2 secondary bosses, Idatori Saul and Callus the Ripper Queen. Each of these mini-bosses has their own storylines and actually add depth rather than feeling like fillers. Emotionally, the game has thrown one punch so far, RJ sacrificing themselves for the Vault Hunters. It hit just enough to make me pause and mutter, "Oh, okay, that's actually quite sad," before immediately going back to shooting things. Beyond that, there aren't really any huge twists yet, but I'm holding off judgment because Borderlands always loves to surprise you when you least expect it. Choices in Borderlands 4 are, predictably, mostly linear. Don't expect a choose-your-own-adventure moment that radically changes the ending. For me, that's fine. The story doesn't need branching paths to keep me hooked. The plot alone is enough to make me want to keep playing. The Timekeeper feels like a proper villain, threatening, imposing, and definitely more memorable than the antagonists from Borderlands 3. If Borderlands 4 has one thing nailed, it's the perfect blend of comedy, chaos, and character depth, and it shows in the brutal, over-the-top animations when enemies die. Seriously, the way enemies explode, ragdoll, or just exist in agony, while the Rippers shout random, hilariously grim phrases. Satisfying doesn't even begin to cover it. The sounds of eliminating enemies are a mix of "ooh, that sounds good" and "haha, nice." It's cartoonish carnage that never gets old. As for Vault Hunters, I've been playing as Rafa, the Exo-Soldier, and honestly, loving it. Some games have silent protagonists that feel like walking cameras, but in Borderlands, you actually connect with the character as you progress. Dialogue snippets, reactions, and little character quirks all layer together to make Rafa and the other Vault Hunters feel alive. Even the NPCs and support cast add a ton of depth to the world. Side quests aren't just go here, shoot this. They're peppered with personality. Eliminating a Ripper, and you get a random line that's either hilarious or horrifying, or both. Even the Rocket, the seemingly ordinary core in the side quest, somehow has more depth than half the supporting cast in other shooters. Do I care about the journey? Absolutely. The plot, especially with a villain like the Timekeeper, building mind control and ruthlessly hunting Vault Hunters, creates a real tension. The stakes feel genuine, and that makes me feel invested in the characters' fates. Dialogue in Borderlands 4 is a classic mix of serious and comedic. It knows when to deliver emotional weight and when to poke fun at itself. Only Borderlands can give a rocket core, or a navigation system, genuine personality and depth, while you keep laughing at the absurdity. And let's be honest, Claptrap continues to be the unsung hero of every Borderlands game. Their little bot delivers lines with perfect mix of sarcasm, cluelessness, and charm. It's impossible not to love him. With Rafa, I'm already building a connection. The character development is subtle but effective. The little things like the side quest, Ready to Blow, where Rafa shows compassion to the core, with lines like, "With my body we share more in common than you think." It really hits. It's these moments that make the Vault Hunters feel like real characters, not just gunslingers running around a cartoon planet. In short, the characters are memorable, the dialogue is sharp, and the animations and death screams are ridiculously satisfying. It's Borderlands doing what it does best, making me care, making me laugh, and occasionally making me cringe, all at the same time. At its core, Borderlands 4 is still the chaotic run-and-gun FPS we know and love, but it's also evolved with some subtle, satisfying ways. The gunplay feels smooth, tight, and ridiculously fun, and the sheer variety of weapon means you're never left thinking, same old, same old. I'm currently rocking the Jacob weapons in my playthrough, which feel beefy, powerful, and the satisfying ricochet effects. Couple that with shields, grenade mods, and manufacturer perks, and suddenly every firefight has layers of strategy that keeps you coming back for more. A few new mechanics stand out. The grapple hook and propulsion pack add a whole new dimension to traversal and combat. Suddenly you're zipping across the map, dodging danger, or pulling off ridiculous mid-air maneuvers. Borderlands parkour has officially arrived. Climbing, spawning your bike, and the Echo 4 system are nice additions, making exploration feel smoother and rewarding without overcomplicating things. Even the little quality of life changes, of upping your inventory spaces via the SDUs on the go is brilliant. Earning SDU tokens by smashing propaganda speakers, unlocking safe houses, or clearing drill sites, and you'll find yourself constantly motivated to explore every corner of Kairos. Mechanics in Borderlands 4 are easy to learn, but satisfying to master. At first glance, it's all shoot, loot, repeat, classic Borderlands. But the deeper you dive into the skill trees, character builds, and weapon synergies, the more satisfying it becomes. Each Vault Hunter offers a different playstyle. Harlow's energy drones and chroma accelerators, Vex's incarnate powers and Aldrich blasts, Amon's heavy melee and onslaught rocket punches, and Rafa, the exo soldier I'm playing, who brings agile, high-risk, high-reward gameplay with knives, shoulder cannons, and rockets. Early on, these differences feel minor, but as you progress, the choices you make start to shine. Every skill point and weapon selection shaping your combat style, and how satisfying each encounter feels. Combat, puzzles, and exploration all feel balanced. Enemies scale appropriately, so don't get too cocky. You will die if you don't upgrade your gear. Some weapons are great early on, but become redundant quickly, which adds a nice layer of depth. You have to constantly adapt. That's why I'm loving the Jacob weapons. They feel reliably powerful even when other guns start to fall off. Exploration remains mostly A to B, but the journey itself, collecting loot, eliminating rippers, and hunting down the Order, is where the mechanics really shine. Overall, the gameplay evolves mostly through weapons, character builds, and skill progression, rather than completely new mechanics. The thrill comes from seeing your character explode bosses into tiny bits, or finally overcoming a ripper you've been struggling against. Borderlands 4 doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it polishes it, adds a few turbo boosters, and keeps you grinning while you mow down enemies across Kairos. Just want to take this moment to ask, if you're liking this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for future reviews. Thank you. Borderlands 4 really nails the sense of immersion. The world of Kairos feels alive, packed with points of interest, collectibles, and side quests that give you a reason to wander off the main path. Travelling around the map is a breeze thanks to the hover driver, which makes exploration feel effortless instead of a tedious slog. Honestly, it's hard not to get sucked in when every corner has something to discover. Whether it's a hidden cache, a quirky NPC, or just a ripper waiting to yell something ridiculous when you eliminate them. Environments themselves are diverse and memorable. Early on, while the main section is dominated by grasslands, there's plenty of other areas to keep the scenery fresh, and the level design encourages exploration without feeling forced. Every area feels like it has its own personality, and the aesthetic completely complements the story. Bright, cel-shaded, visuals are cartoonish, yet brutal, with over-the-top elimination animations that you can toggle on or off, depending on how much chaos you are willing to witness. Technically, the game holds up well. I didn't notice any graphical glitches or immersion-breaking bugs during my playthrough, which is impressive given the sheer amount of chaos and particle effects on screen at once. And as far as art style goes, Borderlands continues to feel timeless. The cel-shaded aesthetic hasn't aged one bit. In fact, the style makes every explosion, loot drop, and facepalm-worthy enemy death feel vibrant and alive. In short, Kairos is a world that's easy to get lost in, visually striking and full of memorable locations, making every session feel like a mix of chaotic fun and cinematic cartoon carnage. Borderlands 4 continues the serious tradition of using audio to immerse you fully in its chaotic world. The sound effects are a standout. Every gunshot feels punchy and satisfying, and finishing off an enemy hits with a perfect beefy crunch that makes you grin. I've been particularly enjoying the Jacob's weapon in my playthrough. The ricochet effect and the weight of each shot feels incredible, making even routine combat a little more cinematic and fun. Voice acting, as always in Borderlands, is top notch. It strikes the perfect balance between serious and comedic, helping the story land without ever feeling over the top. Even side missions come alive because the dialogue often reveals more about the characters, giving layers of personality that you might otherwise miss. Every NPC, every Vault Hunter, and even random Rippers have their moments to shine, which keeps the world feeling vibrant and alive. The overall soundscape does a fantastic job of creating the right atmosphere. The combination of dialogue, gunfire, environmental sounds, and the subtle ambient effects that keep you immersed in Kairos. It's chaotic, it's fun, and it always feels like you're part of the living, breathing, slightly unhinged world. In short, the audio in Borderlands 4 isn't just background noise, it's an integral part of the experience, enhancing combat, storytelling, and the overall absurdity that makes the series so memorable. Performance in Borderlands is generally solid. I've been running the game on high settings on PC through Steam, and I'm consistently hitting 60 to 70 FPS, which feels perfectly fine for a story-driven experience. The game is stable for the most part, though I've had the occasional hiccup, one crash at the end of the Saul fight, and a few minor stutters here and there. Aside from that, the game has been smooth and playable, and a few technical glitches haven't really taken me out the story. I did notice a few inventory quirks. Not all items were showing correctly when trying to mark them as junk. It's easy to mistake and accidentally part with something important. A minor frustration, side mission objectives occasionally spawn under the map, though a simple reset usually fixes it. And while Steam patch notes mentioned some stability updates, nothing I've experienced has been game breaking, though it's nice to see the developers are keeping an eye on things. Menus and UIs are what you'd expect from a Borderlands game. Functional, intuitive, but not exactly revolutionary. Inventory management could use some polish, but it's manageable once you get used to the layout. Overall, Borderlands 4 runs smoothly, looks great and feels polished, with only a handful of minor bugs that haven't hurt the emotional impact of the story. Even the one crash I did have didn't ruin the experience. I'm just hoping I didn't miss any crucial dialogue after the Saul fight. If there's one thing that Borderlands does consistently well, it's given you a reason to come back for more, and Borderlands 4 is no exception. Even though I haven't fully experienced the endgame yet, there's the ultimate Vault Hunter mode waiting for us. It has 5 difficulty levels unlocked incrementally by completing challenges scattered across Kairos. These challenges are designed to test your skills and your Vault Hunter builds, culminating in a climactic wildcard mission where you replay a mission filled with buffed enemies sporting new lethal traits. If it's anything like Borderlands 3, it's going to be gloriously chaotic and exhausting in the best way. Replayability doesn't stop there. You can grind for legendary gear, try weekly challenges, or if you want, just replay the story as a different Vault Hunter to experience a fresh perspective of the world. And yes, he is hoping the legendary Lootsplosion perk is alive and well, because nothing motivates chaos quite like explosions, with loot raining down from the sky. As for game length versus price, I think Borderlands 4 delivers. The main campaign is solid, but the real value is the layers beyond that. Endgame content, different builds, and the sheer joy of exploring Kairos with a fresh Vault Hunter. And based on previous titles, DLC and expansions will add meaningful content, so I'm genuinely excited to see what comes next. Will I revisit the world for the sake of it? 100%. There's something about hopping back into the chaotic, cel-shaded playground that keeps you coming back. Even after the main story is complete, bottom line, Borderlands 4 leaves you wanting more, and that's exactly what a great looter-shooter should do. After spending 20 hours tearing through Kairos, what sticks with me most is just how good Borderlands 4 is. It's unmistakably Borderlands, chaotic, comical, and just slightly unhinged. But somehow it manages to polish and elevate everything that made the previous games fun. I always worry that sequels might lose their charm, but Borderlands 4 exceeds expectations. The story is engaging, the characters are memorable, and the gameplay is smooth and satisfying. And the world, well, Kairos is chaotic in all the right ways. Whether you're a returning fan or completely new to the series, I'd recommend this game without hesitation. What Borderlands 4 does better than most games in the genre is exactly what makes it Borderlands. It balances deep themes with character progression and laugh-out-loud dialogue, absurd combat, and satisfying loot-driven gameplay. The depth of character leveling, the variety in builds, and how your equipment choices affect every combat and make each playthrough feel fresh and rewarding. On my personal scale, I'm giving Borderlands 4 weekend binge. The story itself is compelling, the gameplay is ridiculously fun, and the humour hits perfectly. That said, once I dive into the endgame content and future DLC, this could easily bump it up to an all-nighter. I'll keep updating this rating as I explore the full chaos that is coming. Before you go, I have a few questions for you all. What Vault Hunter did you choose for your first playthrough? And if you have tried Borderlands 4, what are your thoughts? If not, has this review piqued your interest? Drop all your answers in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts so we can compare our Vault Hunter builds and any loot recommendations that you have. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future reviews. Thank you.